Welcome back to Omjolivia TV, your destination for informative, analytical, and insightful updates. In today's session, we will look at 4 critical concepts, which include the date for the widely anticipated disbursement, how much is going to be disbursed to the NGO CEOs and the beneficiaries, who and who will disburse the grant, which grant handler are approved to disburse the fund, then who will not receive this fund and what will they likely need to do to be able to participate in this disbursement. If you are new to our channel or haven't subscribed before, kindly subscribe immediately because we are going to review critical information as the disbursement processes unfold in the days and weeks ahead. And again, stay tuned till the end of this video because we are going to review very critical information to your benefit as a beneficiary or NGO CEO. Let's quickly look straight at the first concept of this session on who and who are approved to disburse this fund. A lot of subscribers on this channel started this grant journey since the era of Telpacon moved to Ishiba, Theobat, Golden Bridge, and the likes of UAAGs just recently after they have subscribed to several grants in between this period. But for the purpose of this session, we will consider those grant handlers that survive over the almost a decade journey and still get approval to disburse in this 2025 we are. And the first is the AGPGN. Yes, AGPGN, although Pressure Group has gotten rare divine mercy to facilitate grants to the masses. And second in the list is the UAAG, which about 80% of grant subscribers subscribe to this particular grant handler. The UAAG conducted their verification exercise around 2023 and haven't been able to disburse since then. While Theobat Global Foundation has been here since 2018-2019 and still couldn't disburse in the timeline they set. So in essence, there are 5 major grant handlers in the list approved to disburse, and this information is owing to the claims of these grant handlers that they have been approved. So we are equally duplicating the information from the grant handlers themselves through their stakeholders to us, which is on strong authority. According to sources, the AGPGN is going to disburse the fund. The UAAG are going to disburse the fund through their Sanctuary Wealth Organization. And according to these feedback sources, the AGPGN is the first in the list, followed by UAAG, the Theobat Global Foundation, Supreme, and one other grant that is controversial for all this while, the Hope Project. And sometimes when most of these grant handlers are mentioned, some people will say, where will they get money to disburse? And there's one adage that our ancestors used to say, that you don't deny a blind man who say he's dreaming that he's actually dreaming or not. So in that case, we don't actually say the UAAG will not disburse, the AGPGN will not disburse, Theobat, Supreme, or Hope Project will not disburse. But the important fact at the moment is that disbursement is going to take place finally. So if you subscribe to this grant, sometimes when information circulates in the grant ecosystem, some people mistake an update from a particular grant handler to the next. Please note that the entitlements that is approved for each of these grant handlers are different from each other. The AGPGN will disburse the palliative. So what the AGPGN will disburse is not grant. So sometimes when you hear that some certain beneficiaries will be given 200,000, 300,000, 500 or 1 million naira, you will think, what can that do in a country like Nigeria? Don't mistake or mix up these different entitlements. That is why I keep advising, identify the information that is coming from your own grant handler and work with it. Needless disturbing yourself over an update of palliative from AGPGN over a grant from the UAAG. So if you are subscribing to the UAAG, your entitlement is not going to be the same with the entitlement of beneficiaries in the AGPGN. Get this correct. Therefore, since all of them are going to disburse as claimed, you are going to receive grants from several sources as a beneficiary. So there are some of our subscribers on this channel who have subscribed for the UAAG grant, the AGPGN, Supreme, Gilbert, and even Hope Project. So you are likely going to receive grants for 4 or 5 major grant handlers. So even if the economy is quite inflationary, prices of goods and services are skyrocketing, when you receive grants from multiple sources, pulling them up together will give you a reasonable amount to be able to start up a venture and solve your entire problem, including setting up generational ventures for yourself. So these days, worry lays about the information circulating in the grant ecosystem, and that leads us to the second concept of this session, which is the entitlement of the beneficiaries. Let's start with the AGPGN. We have revealed to you severally that the AGPGN are going to disburse palliative and their entitlement for beneficiaries between 50,000 to 300 or 500,000 naira. 3 proposals were provided by this particular group, and the one that the government eventually approved for them to disburse is the one they will disburse. So expect between 50,000 to 300 or 500,000 from the AGPGN wing, and we will bring you this template immediately it is made available to us in the days ahead. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed to receive our subsequent update on the disbursement of each of these grants. For the UAAG is a grant through Sanctuary Wealth Multipurpose Foundation. So they will disburse grant, not palliative, according to feedback sources from stakeholders in the UAAG organization. So you expect the entitlement of the UAAG, according to them, to be between 1 million to 3 million naira. Yes, each beneficiary will receive 1 million to 3 million naira. So if you have 5 slots, 1 million times 5 million for beneficiaries. 3 million times 5, 3 times 5 is 15. Or 3 million times 10, 3 times 10 is 30 million naira. So definitely Nigerians are going to experience a financial facelift, the one that will help them overcome their age-long vulnerable economic states. And the Gilbert Global Foundation entitlement is penciled at 3 million to 5 million naira. Some said is the 1 million naira proposal that has been approved for the Gilbert Global Foundation. Hope Project and Supreme are project execution, not actually disbursement. So those who subscribe for the Supreme and Hope Project are expected to receive a project to execute in their states, their local governments and communities, and it borders around agricultural projects, community development projects like electrification projects, the borehole project, or school and health project, depending on the need of their own region or local government area. So if the beneficiaries in Supreme are going to receive entitlement, it's going to be between 200 and 300,000 naira. It's just a backup, not actually the major objective of the Hope or Supreme project. More details on this is going to be coming on in the days ahead. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't subscribed to receive our subsequent updates on grant activities as it unfolds. Please don't ask me about the CBN, Pioneer, IMF, senators and presidential slots. Recently, I'm even aware there is a Donald Trump slot. Please don't ask me about those unpopular slots because I may not be able to give you assurance of if they are going to disburse or not. But one thing I know is that most of those names are subheads that are used by certain grant facilitators to be able to mobilize funds. So if they use the CBN slot subhead or the IMF presidential or senatorial subhead to collect money from you, you know who collected the money from you. So when disbursement commences, approach them for your own entitlement too. There are feedback sources that government NGO are the one to receive the fund first. Because even as disbursement is going to start, as we are going to reveal that aspect shortly, it's not everyone that will receive this fund at the same time. So there are certain category of people that will start or receive the fund and equally share it to other remaining grant subscribers. And there are already existing fears. Some beneficiaries don't want to receive funds from a certain category called the stakeholders because they believe that when the stakeholders receive the fund, they will not disperse to the NGOs under them. All these are owing to the greedy nature of Nigerians. Yes, if people register with you and when the fund eventually come, you boycott it and be dispersing to those who are very close to you, not those who contributed in supporting you to facilitate the fund, those who donated the money. And these are factors that we on this channel will be pointing a searchlight on in the days ahead when disbursement commences and some people don't pay people that actually subscribe through them. And we are again seizing this moment to send a distress signal to those stakeholders. Ensure you disperse the fund to those who donated or contributed the fund to you. Maintain your integrity and reputation at all costs. There is a factor called karma. And let me equally reveal that there's a committee set aside to monitor the entire disbursement activity. So when you expect funds from a certain group of people and they don't pay you, be rest assured that justice will be served. We are here to represent justice, fairness, and equity. Now let's look critically on the factor of Power of 5 few weeks or days ago, which he claimed there's no money anywhere to be disbursed. This is the same Power of 5 who partnered with the UAAG. He was there at the UAAG Verification Center as a national rep of the UAAG Sanctuary Wealth Grant. And through him, a lot of people subscribe to the UAAG grant. Why is he saying there's no money anywhere? Didn't he conduct his verification of the UAAG before he becomes a national rep of? Or the time he was in this grant ecosystem asking people to pay 10,000 for polo, or even return with intervention fund, requesting for people to pay 7,000 naira. I know how many people paid 7,000 naira in a certain platform. So if there's no money anywhere, how is he going to settle those people that paid the 10,000 naira or paid 7,000 naira for intervention fund through him? There are some positions that people that see themselves as leaders of the people doesn't take simply because they are aggrieved or in disagreement with some certain stakeholders in the ecosystem. Because of the disastrous effect it holds on the fragile beneficiaries who subscribe for those grants. He's making a general statement, not saying that Power of 5 don't have money to disburse to the masses. He's not saying particularly that UAG don't have money to disburse to the masses. UAG PGN don't have money to disburse to the masses. Gilbert Supreme Hope Project don't have money to disburse to masses. He's making a general statement. Next time we request for Power of 5 to be specific and directional in information dissemination, so he will not mislead those fragile minds that don't actually know the core truth behind every grant disbursement in this ecosystem. Apart from the fears that some stakeholders will not disburse to certain CEOs under them, that they will disburse to those CEOs very close to them, there is equally another line of fear entertained by some subscribers that their entitlement will be slashed or is already slashed by the CEOs they subscribe with. Let me inform you as a fact, no CEO has the right to slash the entitlement that is meant for a given beneficiary. There's laid down rules. You will see it in the MOU. There are laid down templates that will be seen in the statement of account of every CEO or cooperative and NGO. You can't pay 1 naira lesser or 1 naira above what is penciled down or approved by the government to be disbursed to each beneficiary. So don't entertain fear of anybody slashing your after disbursement. All the CEOs will print their bank account statement and tender it before the disbursement committee, before they will be cleared or the name of the organization will be removed from the disciplinary committee list. Else, every CEO or organization that failed to meet up to this requirement will be languishing in the EFCC net. So nobody is slashing your entitlement. The only thing is that the grant entitlement is different across the grant handlers you subscribe with. I've already addressed this in the early part of this video, that the entitlement of the HGPGN, UAAG, Supreme, Theobat, Hope, and other projects are not the same. But unfortunately, in the grant ecosystem, information is not specified. And you encounter an information that said the entitlement of beneficiary is 50,000, is 100,000, is 300,000. You start building your mind around that, instead of identifying if this information is from the palliative wing or the grant disbursement wing. So nobody is slashing your entitlement. Worry less about this. Be preoccupying your mind right now on how you are going to utilize this fund, not if the fund is slashed or is going to come. For those who are still troubled about if disbursement is going to still take place after lingering for 8 years ago, since 2023, that should have been disbursed if there was 1 week left in December, and now in May 2025, precisely the last week of May. Worry not, because sometimes, because the generation that eventually see the Canaan land was not the same generation that hear the prophecy of Canaan itself. But Canaan eventually was a reality. When is disbursement going to take place? There are speculations in the grant ecosystem that disbursement is going to start on 29. There's another update. A certain grant handler promised the church member that 29 is his birthday, and that is the same date disbursement will take place, or will equally take place before the date of his birthday, which is 29. These are all the same people that have set deadlines all this while. The same people that circulated that machine shut down in the grant ecosystem and we should pray. And I'm telling you again, although disbursement is set to take place before the last day of May 2025, but disbursement is not going to get to everyone at the same May 2025 ending, because of the threshold of disbursement per day or per week set by the CBN. As I've stated earlier, Civil Service Commission doesn't pay all the workers in the same day. There are laid down guidelines by the CBN on the amount of funds that can be churned out into the nation in circulation per day by any organization. So this threshold is equally laid down to guide the disbursement process. Let's assume 500 CEOs are to receive funds on the 28th or 29th or 30th of May 2025. Then another 500 will be receiving in first week of June. If it is programmed in that way, that implies before they will eventually pay 10, I'm just using 500 as an example, they may pay more. So it will take weeks before 5,000 and 10,000 NGOs will be paid. And don't forget, there are over 50 to 200,000 CEOs, and the certain number the approved for disbursement is already above, say, 15 or 25,000. So it will take weeks and a month before everyone will eventually receive. I'm already preparing your mind. Hence, as a CEO, if you don't receive fund in the last week of May 2025, because of some certain people that are receiving first, we know that in Nigeria, there are always certain categories that are considered first. The me first factor. There are people that will be settled first before the second, third, fourth, fifth category. But everyone will eventually be disbursed to. So if you don't receive disbursement in the first few weeks when it commences as a CEO, as a beneficiary, needless becoming hypertensive, needless fighting unnecessary war, needless embarking on some certain activity that will deny you of the privileges of disbursement. Follow the process judiciously, meticulously, knowing that as long as your organization is captured for disbursement, you will eventually receive your fund. Don't die before disbursement meets you. Again, finally, before we close this session, let's run a brief review of what we have discussed so far. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, kindly subscribe immediately, because we are going to bring you updates of every step-of-step activities of disbursement in the days and weeks ahead. We have informed you in the course of this session that feedbacks from stakeholder sources across different grant handlers has assured that Disbursement is going to start in the new week we are approaching, between the 25th to the 30th of May 2025, and the entitlement of beneficiaries is different across the grant handler. The LGPGN, which will disburse palliative, is going to disburse between 50,000 to 300,000 as the case may be, while the UAAG is expected to disburse between 1 million to 3 million naira, and Gilbert is equally penciled to disburse 1 million naira to beneficiaries. The Hope Project Supreme will be executing project through the CEOs that subscribe under them and may disburse 200,000 naira to the beneficiaries that are under those mother or father NGOs. Again, we have intimated you that the entitlements of beneficiaries are not large, but it's dependent on the grant handler. And the good news is that all the beneficiaries who subscribe for various grants have an advantage of pulling up the palliative and the grant disbursements together to have a huge sum of capital or equity to embark on generational or global projects that will alter the financial narrative of both themselves and their generation. This is how much you can take on this channel today. Kindly subscribe if you haven't, because the days ahead holds much more for all subscribers of this channel. Thank you for having me on Omjolivia TV today. I remain the CEO of this channel. Bye.